Welcome back. In this video, we will discuss software deployment and quality assurance. What is software deployment? Software deployment is a set of activities that make a software system available for use by deploying or installing the system in the target environment or the target hosts. The deployment view of a software system can be actually critical in assessing whether the system will be able to satisfy its requirements. For example, placing many large or complex software components on a low capacity hardware, for example, with limited memory and processing power, or transferring high volumes of data over a network link with low bandwidth will negatively impact the system, and this eventually raises questions on the quality of the system. Even in some situations, or according to some clients, such inefficiencies of the systems due to inappropriate deployment decisions are also considered as like equivalent to wrongly implementing the system's functionalities. Therefore, we can say that deployment related decisions or activities significantly impact the quality of the software systems during their operations. Here we will discuss some activities that are performed during the deployment. These activities include release, install, activate, deactivate, update, adapt, deinstall or remove, and derelease or retire. So we will discuss each one of these activities one by one. So release. A system is packaged so that it can be transferred to the consumer sides. The release actually contains all the necessary modules systems descriptions along with software architectural configuration, dependencies on system level facilities and external components, and requirements specific to individual software elements. Then install. This activity involves establishing some form of command, shortcut, script, or service for executing the software. Then activate. Once the system is installed, it needs to be activated for use on the target host. Deactivate. Deactivation involves disabling any of the system activities that are still on the target hosts. The next one is update. Once the system has been installed and activated on the target hosts, over time it may need to be updated for different reasons. Then adapt. Adaptation can actually result in redeployment of the system, that is repositioning of its software components across execution process and hardware hosts. Then deinstall or remove. This actually reverses the steps of installation, whereas derelease or retire. In fact, this involves decisions that are related to retiring the system. Here we discuss some challenges related to the deployment that affect the quality of the software system. So the first challenge is widely distributed target processors. By target processors, we mean that the target systems where the software has to be deployed. Uh, Physically deploying the software system in such settings has several logistic issues, and it actually is challenging to ensure quality in such situations. Then the second challenge is the target processors embedded inside heterogeneous devices with different operating environments. This is an important quality challenge because a software component running on one device may not be able to run in a different environment and may result in quality compromises in certain situations. Then different software components may require different hardware configurations. For example, they may need different screen resolutions, different CPU speed, I/O devices, memory, etc. And to some extent, uh, this may also lead to quality issues. Then redeployment of running components. This requires carefully assessing acceptable system downtimes and requires techniques to capture and transfer the system's dynamic state. Otherwise, the quality of the operations will be affected. Therefore, we can say that deployment phase in fact requires careful decisions regarding placing the software components on the target hardware. Otherwise, even a well developed software may not be able to meet the quality expectations. Okay. Here we discuss the quality assurance activities that are important for the software deployment process. There are quality assurance activities that are performed prior to deployment as well as after the software is deployed. So first we discuss before deployment activities. As we know that the testing phase takes place before the code is actually moved to the environment. So the quality assurance team should ensure to have completed certain activities such as the first one is to ensure the test cases are reviewed and approved. Actually, assuring this gives self-assurance or confidence to the deployment team that the system being deployed has undergone rigorous testing and review process. Then the second one is to ensure that the test team is available and resource planning is completed. And then ensure the test data uh, needs are identified. That is, all the necessary prerequisites for evaluating the deployed system have been identified beforehand. You can see that these activities are in fact additional checkpoints to avoid any issues after the system has been deployed. Then there are certain quality assurance activities that are performed after deployment, and these are called as after deployment activities. After deployment, the very first thing the quality assurance team needs to do is to get started with the sanity tests, which is in fact a basic test to quickly evaluate whether a claim or the results of a calculation can possibly be true. Also, the quality assurance team should keep track of the develop of the deployed build or version to make sure which items have been successfully deployed, or which changes have been made successfully, and which items have not been deployed, even if they were planned. Actually, it may happen that the deployment team could not complete a deployment activity due to some missing details or any other reasons. Therefore, keeping track of such activities, or like knowing about the possible reasons that hinder the successful deployment, is important for addressing such issues later on. So, performing quality assurance in deployment phase is equally important, as it is in other phases of development, to ensure the development of high quality systems. So that's all about our discussion on software deployment and the related quality assurance activities. This also concludes our lecture. So in part 1 of this lecture, we discussed software configuration management. In part 2, we discussed software change control, whereas in part 3, we discussed software deployment and the related quality assurance activities. The materials in this video are based on these two sources. For more details, you can consult these sources. Thank you.